Awesome. Welcome. Hello, hello. I hope my camera is fine. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Hello, May. How are you? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Mr. Tamae. How are you today?
My audio is bad.
I can hear you though. How are you?
Oh, is it? Okay. Sharp. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Sharp, sharp.
Okay. We're actually live on Facebook today. We should be live on Instagram as well. I'm just checking. Are you able to see if we are live on Facebook or you didn't check?
Let me check with my phone. Okay. What should I go? YDT?
Yes. YDT group, the Facebook page. I'm just checking as well. Okay. Welcome. Hello, hello, everybody. You're welcome with us today. We normally allow a couple of minutes for everyone to join us. And we are also
No, it doesn't look like you're live.
Yay,
meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
yay, that is awesome. Let me just double check for the last time. Hello, everyone. Welcome today. Okay, that was earlier. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are now live on Facebook. That is exciting. For the first today, we are live on Facebook. The time is now 12:35. I'm just going to quickly introduce to you YDT Group, tell you a bit about what we do, and then I'm going to hand over to the speaker, Mr. Yabela Tlali. So YDT Group is a group of companies that is comprised of about 5 companies. We have YDT Real Estate. We have also YDT Property Management. We also have YDT Home Loans. And we are also on a lifetime partnership with Nozipotlali Attorneys, which are our conveyancers and our lawyers. Okay, I just got confirmation that we are also live on Instagram. Our handle is YDT Group South SA, actually, YDT Group SA. So today, as we said, we are live on Facebook and we are live on Instagram. Okay, so I'm going to start over quickly. So we are able to do for you things like credit rehabilitation. We are able to pre-qualify you and work the journey with you if you need to. And that makes us a one-stop property shop. So YDT Group is the first of its kind. There isn't such a company in the world, actually. We did check and we can confirm that right now there isn't such a company in the world where you are able to do things like pre-qualify you. We are able to rehabilitate your credit record. You can also apply for a home loan with us, insurance, and we also have conveyancing lawyers in-house. And we are also able to help you sell your property, buy property, and we are also able to manage your property for you. So that makes us a one-stop property shop. I just want to find out, before we continue, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Tlali in a couple of minutes. I just want to find out from you, how has these sessions been helping you? Have you been catching up with them on YouTube, or were you joining us live, and have they helped you in any way? I just want to, you're welcome now to unmute your mic and just let us know, because we really welcome any feedback that you give us. Any takers? Okay, no takers. All right, that is fine. So I also want to just let you know that we have been doing these seminars for the past 10 weeks, and we've been uploading them on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, it's just YDT Group, and you can go there at any time to catch up with the sessions that we've done previously. We are also available on social media. Our Twitter handle is YDT Group Online, but I'll be putting them there in the message box. I'm going to ask that you please remain muted for the duration of the presentation. And then there'll be a time in between the presentations where we allow for questions. And at that stage, you can just unmute your mic and ask a question. I will allow for that. As the presenter is speaking, at any point, you are welcome to leave your question in the comment section, or just any comments that you have, and I will be engaging with you. And when the time comes for question and answers, that's when I will allow everyone to ask their question. All right. Mr. Tlali, are you with us, sir?
Yes, I am here. Can everybody hear me?
All right.
Can everybody hear me, see me?
Yes, we can.
Anything me? Me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can see you. All right. I just want to say for the last time, before I give over to Mr. Abela, that we are live on Facebook and we are live on Instagram. Really exciting. Okay, now without wasting any time, Mr. Tlali, over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Siamo. I want to wave a good afternoon to everybody. It's exciting. We are going on different platforms today. And of course, that is what took us a little bit longer to connect this, because it's different devices. Of course, when you do something for the first time, you will always come across 1 or 2, 3 things that you have not come across previously. I'm sure we also have gotten ourselves used to that, understanding that as well, so that we can be able to accept that it is part of the process. There's nothing that is, should I say, wrong or different with it. It is just that we are part of the process. Can you please mute that person, please? So that we can be able to continue. We are a little bit, we think a little bit many times now before we let this person in, just to give a bit of background for the people that are not here. Last week, we were hacked in, somebody hacked in, and now we are a little bit careful about people that we let in. You will see for the first time this week, we had a PIN number for you to log in. So that is, we are taking precautionary measures so that we can be able to make sure that we stay safe and everybody can go in properly. All right, let's get right to it without wasting any time. We've already lost time in connecting. Good afternoon and welcome. I think it's the 11th edition now of our property investment webinars. We said beyond the lockdown as well. Now we are based on different concerns or other questions asked and different things that have been raised by people, we have that, which is basically how we do our topics mostly. We take based on what you would like to hear, what you would like to understand. We have got topics, contents for days. We can literally write books, at least 8 or 10 books, just on the subject matters that we are addressing. So please do give us your feedback so that we understand and we know, we are aware and what you would like us to address. Okay, now today we are just going back to the basics. We are going back to the basics. The presentation itself is not going to be that long because what we picked up is that people are asking questions about the basics. People don't understand the basics, and we were then going very fast and we were going too far. So going forward, we will start with the basics again. We will also chop the webinars not to be slightly shorter, maybe 45 minutes from next week, with lesser content, so that we can have enough time to explain and delve deeper into that content for the week, and open up more time for questions, so that we do not leave anybody behind. Remember, these webinars are for you to understand, to can be able to implement and be able to go forward. Of course, we still recommend that you use services of a professional, because we are just giving mere guidelines. Your situation and your risk appetite, your many things are different to that of the person next to you. So therefore, we cannot be able to advise you to take a general approach in anything that you do. Let's go back to the basics. The first, basically all the slides you're going to see today, you have seen them before. You have seen them before, but we'll be going slightly slower into them and going a little bit deeper into them so that we get to fully understand properly. And then from there, after the first Q&A, we will stop with the slides and we will start with a discussion. I'll raise 1 or 2 points and hear your views, if there are any views, up until we are done. Okay, let's go. Now, the first and the most important thing, people normally leave this to the professionals only. We want you to make this a priority, interpreting the market. We would like to encourage you or even challenge you to learn how to interpret the market yourself. Because when you can interpret the market, you then are able to already preempt, because you know yourself more than we know you. You know yourself more than anyone knows you. Well, at least we hope. So at least you are then able, once you interpret the market, you are then able to have your own pre-decision, if I can call it that, where you can then be able to decide that I will then approach the professional with this in mind, because I understand what is going on. Or as I'm approaching the professional, I will then be confirming what I'm thinking is going on in the market. So we are really encouraging you to start learning how to interpret the market. So the slides are basically mostly about interpreting the market, so that you understand what is happening around you and in and out there. So that in every level, whichever is your, should I say, point of departure, your vision, your plan in going into property is, you can be able to align it, whether you are buying to build your portfolio, you are buying to sell, which is to flip, or those others called to speculate, or you are buying to stay in yourself. So with all those different reasons of buying, you are then able to understand when it is a buyer's market, when it is a seller's market, and when the economy is good, when the economy is not good, what makes it not good, and if it is not, because it could be not good for the other, but good for the other. So when you understand and you have a little bit of basic information, you can also be able to do a little bit of assessment yourself. Can I make an example so that you understand why is it important that you know how to interpret the market? Most of us, in fact, if all of us can tell here, we have had we have caught the cold before, flu before. Now, we still go to the doctor, but we know when to go to the doctor, because we've had it so many times and we know that it is now winter. We have been able to interpret the seasons. It is now autumn. It is now, so therefore, I must be ready that I might catch a cold. Therefore, I must take more supplements. I must do this. I must do this. Even worse now with COVID-19 upon us. Now, it is the same thing. You are able to prepare. You are able to take precautionary measures when you can understand and interpret the market. Though, just like the example I made about the cold, you know that when it comes to a certain stage, normally it takes me 3 days to be well, but I'm on day 4 now and I'm not well. And it seems to be getting worse. Now I need to go consult a doctor. Same thing when you have that understanding to say, all right, now it has been like this with property, with the market, but I'm not just about to implement. Now I need to ask. I need to get understanding from a professional. Okay. Now, remember this slide? I think this is the 3rd or 4th time this slide is coming. And you are going to see it more and more and more and more, mostly when these figures change. Now, the reason for this, again, is so that you understand the interpretation. And the interpretation of the market, which these are the things that influence the market. So to interpret something, you need to know what influences it, or what is it made of, or what drives it. Now, here, we're talking about what influences the market. We'll go through it again. Interest rate. It is still currently at 7.25%. In brackets is what it was in January. So I'll keep it like this for a while so that we understand, even when it goes up and it increases, so that we understand with the changes that came about to the economy as a result of the world pandemic, COVID-19, we can then be able to ourselves see the trend. To say when it started in January, it was 9.745%. You see now I'm becoming like someone I don't want to say it because I'm live everywhere now. 9.75%. Now it dropped, but it has been stable like this for just around a month now at 7.25. We do not know the next move. It is determined by the activity in the economy. If the activity remains not as strong as it is desired, it could possibly, if then the economy can absorb it, it could possibly drop one last time or a little bit further. You understand? Once then the economy starts to pick up, then it's going to start to pick up as well. It is not going to jump from 7.25 to 9.25. If should it go that direction, then the Reserve Bank and everybody else is going to give us enough time to make preparations. They're not going to do like they do normally, to say the repo rate or the interest rate is dropping in 2 days' time, in 3 days' time. Here, then they will give enough time so that everybody can prepare and plan for it. Now, the interest rate is what the bank charges us, you and me. It is the base rate, they call it, of what the bank can charge. Now, when the bank charges you, they will say they're charging you prime plus, prime is now 7.25, which is the base rate, prime plus, whatever is plus, if they say we are charging you prime plus 2%, meaning it's going to be 7.25 plus 2%. Now, the reason when they say, even in contracts, you will see in credit agreements, when they make the rate, they always write at the beginning, even if they write the percent, the total interest that they're charging you, they will also write prime plus this percentage or base rate plus this percentage. The reason they are doing that is because the plus does not change with the changes of the interest rate. Now, let's say in a month's time, the interest rate goes up again by 0.5%. Now, what happens is, let's say you are charged prime plus 1% in your credit agreement. Now, what then happens is when it goes up, now, before it goes up, you are paying 8.25 because you are being charged prime plus 1%. When it goes up, your 1% stays standard, but the prime goes up and down. That is if you have not fixed it. Now it goes up and down. So it will be, the base rate will be 7.75% at that time. That means then the plus, your one will be 8.75%. So that's the reason they write it like that, because then they wanted for you to understand it, to be clear that we do not control the prime. It is based on what we were given as the base rate we can charge you. But because of your risk analysis from us, your risk analysis from us is such that we have to add 1% on top of prime, whether due to your credit record, whether due to the risk of the property, sometimes whether due to your age. Therefore, then they then say we are now going to add an interest rate on the prime above the prime for you that you are going to pay. Now, what is a repo rate? For a long time, please be patient with us if you understand the difference between the two. And as we continue to go further and explain other steps, it used to confuse me for a very long time, because then the bank then would be told the repo rate and this, and I needed to understand. This is now before, of course, I got into financial planning. Now, the repo rate, it is what the Reserve Bank charges the credit providers. In this instance, the banks. So the repo rate is what the Reserve Bank charges the banks. So the banks are being charged 3.75 by the Reserve Bank. Now, that alone can go a lot deeper. It is a whole lot more technical. It is normally done in different economic classes, and it is done with the people that do risk analysis and many other things. So we will not necessarily, I don't think we will touch it, though we can even do a webinar on it. I don't think we'll touch it, because it's a whole system, how money moves, how the banks use your money that you have deposited into the bank to then borrow others out against it. So that is, like I'm saying, it's something else altogether. But nonetheless, the banks are charged by the Reserve Bank 3.75%, which is the current rate, and they charge you 7.25 base rate, and then they add all go below from that. Now, the second factor that then affects or influences the market is the lockdown or the trade. Okay, I'll explain it deeper on the next slide, how and what it is doing now again. And then the economy, which is projected to contract by 7%, which was still the statistics the last time we checked and did our research, and 5% globally. So the global market economy is expected to contract, meaning it's shrinking, it's not growing. Meaning then it is almost everywhere in most countries, we are in a recession, basically, or certain economies will declare a recession because the economy is resenting or is in other words, it's going backwards, it's not growing. Okay, all right. Now, the fourth factor that influences the market is the estate agents, because the estate agents, they then are able to then influence the buyer and the seller based on their skill, and they influence the activity. Now you are about to understand now properly as to how they are currently working with it or influencing it. Now, here is the market currently. The first two ones we're going to leave, I've already explained them at length. Then we go to the lockdown, which is point number 3. Previously, I said the trade is super active. Now I added one super. The trading is currently super active. Because, of course, people were at a lockdown for a long time. Property is a basic need, which is a roof over our head in the hierarchy of needs. Now, it was a matter of time that when things open up, that activity will start to come up very strongly. Now it is on overdrive as it is right now, because, and it is not just one area of trade, it is a holistic area of trade. People are making plans, people are shifting, people are moving, people are losing jobs, getting new jobs, moving back home because of the economy. I'm selling my place because now I need to rent. There is a lot of movement currently, also in the student accommodation place. Now, with every single day, people have to watch, you have to watch the news and different aspects of the news, because now you are an investor in property. So when you are invested, when you have a vested interest in something, you follow where it goes, you check what happens. Right now, students are coming, others are not coming back, and then you are told it's the final year students that are going back to res or going back to school, others are going to go online, and. So now you need to know and understand so that you can then be able to start thinking towards making the next step in consultation with a professional. Now, the estate agents are back, and the presence is being felt. We also have an estate agency at YDT, real estate agents. And I would just want to make an example about what happened in East London. We're assisting investor with a sale in East London. So, and this example is so that you understand the current activity, so that even yourself, as you are following the market, you are able to link what is being said, what we are currently sharing with you, and what you see in front of you, and be able to study, make an assessment, and look forward into the future with it. We are assisting an investor. The investor is like, okay, I need to buy an investment property for 500,000, and I need to grow a portfolio on a specific leg of my holistic portfolio. No problem. We are now on week 2, going on week 3, which is just under a month when we started with this, after the estate agents were allowed back at work. Before then, before estate agents were allowed back at work, we were able to do 1 or 2 virtual transactions that were able to buy or sell properties during that time. Now, with everybody back in action, we could not get this property. We had postponed an appointment that was supposed to be today for the 2nd time in a row, because the properties that were targeted or earmarked, even the price range, it is the most active price range, and people are looking for the same investment that this person is looking for. And yesterday morning, on a Thursday, appointments were for today. Yesterday morning, 3 appointments were confirmed. Yesterday night, 2 were cancelled because properties were already sold. This morning, the 3rd one was sold, cancelled because the property is already sold. Now, that's how fast certain properties are going. Now, also, it should also be a learning curve for you to know that for a certain bracket, for a certain type of property that perhaps could be going, then you need to learn. You remember, we've been talking about being able to be patient and being able to move fast. That then means now this is the time where if you know what you need to do and you've been planning and waiting, now you are ready. If it comes up, now don't waste time. Go for it as fast as you can, because somebody else is looking at it. I can make you at least 3 examples in the last 2 weeks alone, besides this one, where the moment one of them we had just signed for the property to be sold, and after we had signed, while we had just gotten the final approval from the bank, the seller comes back to us and says, we've got 4 more offers on the table. Please confirm that this property is sold, or else we need to pull out and take and look at another offer. That's how active the market is right now. Now, what then will happen next? With the market being active, is that the next stage, right now, how do I put it? It's like after you were in a war, or you were fighting with someone. You understand? For the sports people, they will say, while you are playing a soccer match, you might be hurt, or somebody might kick you at a specific muscle. While the muscle is still warm, you're not feeling the pain. You're not feeling the results. We are not even limping. But once the muscle starts to come down, your body starts to cool off. After a couple of hours, even at night, because the temperature is down and the body is now starting to really cool down, then you start to feel the pain of the muscle. Then you start to feel all the pains where everything was. Now, it is currently the same thing with the market. Right now, people are at knee-jerk. The market is at knee-jerk. We have not yet seen the economic results of the COVID-19. We have not yet seen of the lockdown as South Africa. We have not seen it yet. Right now, we are still operating on knee-jerk. I was locked down. Now I'm out. I need to operate. Now I'm running. Now I'm running. I'm doing everything I can as fast as I can. I'm not even realizing I'm in that soccer match. I'm active. I'm everything. Once then we start to ease back into normal activity. When I say normal activity, of course, I'm not saying things will be normal, because as it is being said, we are expecting a new normal. But when I'm saying normal, I mean economical activity, where now I can continuously be able to trade without a fear of us going back to level 5, without a concern of this. Now the COVID is put under control. Maybe the vaccine is already out there. So now people are feeling more confident to trade. Now, when that happens, and within a bit of time in it, then we will start to see the effects. And then at that time, when we start to see the effects, then the tables are going to turn again, almost back to the lockdown, or when we're at level 4, where now the market goes back fully in the hands of the buyers. Right now, it is the seller's market, not in full, but it is currently the seller's market to a certain extent and in certain segments of the market. So comes then that time, then it will turn totally back to the buyer's market, and it will be a little bit rife. And that means then you want to prepare yourself now for that time. If you are going to build a bigger portfolio, you prepare yourself now. Please check the previous webinars on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, so much subscribe, which will then explain how you prepare. I will do it again when I feel the time is now that people need to be reminded how to prepare. Maybe after 2 or 3 weeks from now, when I'm starting to have a little feel of the market going forward. Now we're starting to look again at the property that we need to look at. You understand the market, now you look at the property, because here's the thing with activity. Activity can also propel people to what can I call it? To do things randomly, because there is that hype. It's a hype, just like they create a hype during the December holidays when they want people to finish their bonuses, and they play loud music everywhere, and they are making everything about holiday. The sun is out, the birds are singing. When you walk into the shopping centers, the music is playing. Everybody has an upbeat. People are there's people greeting you, jumping around. They are creating an atmosphere for you to be compulsive. Now, the atmosphere right now is creating itself for compulsion, for people to be compulsive, because now many people are buying, and this happening. This person sold. Now you're starting to think, must I also sell? Because now it looks like they're going very fast. Must I also buy? Because it looks like people are buying, and those that are buying are also they're losing the properties that they're not buying. So you can easily fall into a trap where now you are compulsively making a decision, not planned. So therefore, we go back to say, what is a day one asset? Well, regardless whether you go to keep, rent out, live in it, or sell, the property must make profit from day one. Remember, I said last time, when you buy, you must have the end in mind already. So when I say make a profit, if you're buying to keep, you're not making a profit at that time. But you should then be able to have the end in mind to say, if I were to sell, would I then make a profit immediately on that? Second point on day one asset, is it the right purchase? A right purchase includes all these other 3 points and even more. And we had went into detail. Please do go back to our previous webinars, because some of the things, because of time, we cannot go through them in detail again, and also in respect to the people that are coming live every week. Now, in terms of the right is it the right location for it to be the right purchase? Is it the right price? Are you making a profit from it? Is it what amount versus value that you buy it for? Did you buy it at the time where it's going to make you money immediately? So those are the things that come together to make it to be concluded whether it is a right purchase or not. Of course, we've spoken location. Everybody that has watched, saw, or read anything about property anywhere, you will hear they even say location, location, location. It is very important to understand the location. Now, the location is not generic to all the objectives, needs, or vision, or purpose of the property. It is only based on the property. That is why I again emphasize, do not take any step, make any move, do anything with regards to property without consulting a professional. Because you might hear people saying this area, the northern suburbs in Bloemfontein or in most towns or cities, you can never go wrong because they grow fast in value. That could be true, they go fast in value, but your purpose can definitely be the wrong location. If you want to make a student accommodation, put it in the northern suburbs and tell me if it will succeed, and I will hear from you if the location is good for it. Because in the northern suburbs, in Bloemfontein alone, you will not be able to get student accommodation that's successful unless then you provide transport for the students to be able to drive back and forth to campus, which is an extra expense, or unless you are only targeting students that already have their own transport. You see now, then it starts to make it a little bit complex for you to make a northern suburbs accommodation successful in Bloemfontein. Just using Bloemfontein as an example. and so that you understand what location means. You understand, though your property will grow in value, question is, will it fulfill what you want it to fulfill at that specific time before you have to sell it or before you have to cash in on value? Okay, now reminding us again, these figures will remain the same for a while because they will take time to change, simply because we have 58 million people in South Africa, and because the unemployment rate has gone up already since the lockdown and might continue to increase. Now, what this figure says is only 10%, almost 11%, or just roughly 11% of people own the properties that they live in. Please follow the laser. Only between 10 and 11 point something percent of people own the properties. In fact, it is 12%, it's 11.98%, the exact percentage of people who live in the properties that they own. But out of that 12%, 10% of them, they own it themselves. The other 2% is they have inherited it, meaning it was a family home. Daddy and mommy passed away and they left the home to us. So therefore, we are not tenants, but we might not yet be the registered owners, but we are not renting. So we own it still within the family. The rest of 88% of South Africans, as it is right now, are renting from the 12% people that own the properties. It then goes back to explain what then was being said about land, and the 10% people are controlling the 90% of the wealth, because property is mainly the main source of wealth. Most of everything flows from it. You can say the GDP, mining contributes a certain percentage to the GDP. You mine that mine in a piece of land that is owned by somebody else. You open a factory to do an industrial industry. It is that industry is sitting on a piece of land that is owned by someone. So property is the biggest level of means of production. Therefore, that is why then it can almost have a direct relation in terms of who owns the property in direct proportion of who owns the wealth. Now, there is a slight change. Somebody who's watching or listening or will watch their YouTube can debate and say, but the biggest industry that is now rising, it is the ICT industry with artificial intelligence, the social medias, the Internet of Things, which you do not need land itself, fair and square. Right now, we are talking about the rest besides that, to say it needs, so that's why there's a direct relation, and it will take time for that relation to move, because even now, even with the Internet of Things, it's only a few people that own it. So it is not a broad, wide open market that comes with it. Now, we then move on to the next slide, which actually was the Q&A basically. Now, which is where then we end the presentation itself today, and we're going to forward back to you, Tsiamo, so that you can be able to guide us into the Q&A. Thank you. Over back to you, Tsiamo.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Tlali, for that very interesting presentation. I really like how you went back to the basics, because we have indeed been receiving messages from people. It's, as you said, it's like we were getting ahead of the market, getting ahead of our participants, and some of them were getting left behind. So at this stage, this is where, as I said, that we will be giving you the opportunity to ask questions. This is for the participants and everyone who is joining us through Facebook and through Instagram. At this stage, there aren't any questions on the section, and I don't see anyone's hand that is up. However, as we always do, we allow a couple of seconds for people to type or raise their hands, or sometimes we just allow you to unmute your mic and just go ahead and ask your question. So without wasting your time, Please unmute your mic, ask the question. You are welcome to also switch on your video. However you prefer, you are welcome to do so. All right, there aren't any questions, but we allow people to type. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Dlali, are there specific questions that we've been getting frequently or you have been getting that you want?
Before we go to those questions, yes, they are. Then let me then move on to the next phase. You remember I said the first phase, it will be based on the slideshow. The second phase will not be on the slideshow, which is what could also be able to bring about, allow people to ask them questions. Now, I'll start with the first one. Who qualifies to buy a house? Those are some of the questions that I've been coming across. Who then qualifies to buy a house? Now, depending on how you are planning to buy a property. If you are buying cash, the answer is whoever has the cash ready to buy the property, okay? But if you want to use financial institutions, then it is any income earning South African. I'm trying to run away from using the words any employed person or any person that has a salary. As long as you can prove income, any form or way, then you are eligible to buy a property. Now, just on giving a little bit of background so that people understand how the financial institutions work, qualify people and have a look at people who, when they say now, who should we sell to? Or who should we finance rather? Because the seller does not mind. They will sell to anybody that has the money, whether through a financial institution or cash. Now, the financial institutions have a look at this in this way. First and foremost, it's a credit agreement when you are buying through a financial institution. You are entering into a credit agreement with that financial institution. They are giving you a loan to purchase a property. Now, any credit agreement is then regulated in South Africa by the National Credit Regulator, the NCR. Now, with the NCR, they come with specific prescriptions, minimum requirements, and all those things for all different types of credits. The one we are going to touch now is on the property one. The current regulation says you cannot buy a property, meaning now with your monthly repayment, the monthly repayment towards property cannot exceed 30% of your gross income. Your monthly repayment cannot exceed 30% of your gross income. Now, what then happens is the banks or the financial institutions, including the bond originators like YDT Home Loans, we then are able to work it backwards to say your income is 10,000 every month, your gross income. 30% of your gross income is 3,000 rands, which means by law, any financial institution cannot give you a loan to purchase a property where you are going to pay more than 3,000 rands a month on the monthly installments. Now then, we work it then backwards to say for a 300,000, that's how they check how much you qualify for. Then we say for a 3,000 rands monthly repayments, how much a loan would it be for you to pay 300,000? Now, just a basic tip, which of course is not necessarily accurate now because of low interest rates, is that on average, on your monthly installment, you pay 1% of your capital debt towards your monthly installment. Meaning, if in this instance of 3,000, 3,000 is 1% of what? It is 1% of 300,000. Meaning, just on face value calculations without taking into consideration the current interest rate, what the bank is going to charge you, you already can just entry level of pre-qualifying yourself to say, oh, so if my income is 10,000, I roughly plus minus qualify for a 300,000 home loan. I do not want to say property because some other people might say, I have 200,000 rands cash, but I want to check how much home loan can I qualify for, because I want to come with a cash that I have and with home loan. So which means then, if you qualify for 300,000 home loan and you've got 200,000 cash, you can buy a property for 500,000. You understand? So those are the basic things of qualifying. However, it does not end there, because what happens is the banks, or the banks in this instance, they then qualify you on 2 levels as a person, and they qualify you and the property, which is another. If we're talking, we'd say number 1, 1A, 1B, and then number 2. Okay. Now, they then first look at you and qualify you in terms of your credit record to check how's your repayment history. Can we trust you? Can we not trust you? Are you over indebted? Are you under indebted? When you are over indebted, it's against the NCR regulation for them to give you money. If you are under indebted, they cannot trust you enough that they can give you a credit agreement for 20 years. That is why you will realize the shorter the credit agreement, the easier for the banks to give you finance or to approve your credit request. Meaning, clothing accounts are one of the easiest things to be approved. Sometimes even when you have one adverse listing against your name, because it is an unsecured loan and it is a very short term, so therefore the banks can give you, because it is the same clothing accounts and those smaller credits that are used to check your behavior. Because most people that have got income can have access to a clothing account, and therefore then the credit providers say, here, which is the bigger now, the banks, let's say for a home loan, they say, all right, you were given a clothing account by so and so. Let's see how you handled it, so that we can have an idea of how you are going to handle our home loan, which is 20-year agreement. Because the clothing accounts, when you open it, they ask you, do you want it for 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months? So then they are able to check and say, okay, this account is for 12 months. Can this person handle this account for this 12 months? And how is their behavior in that smaller account for 12 months? And. So they've used different types of credits. It could be a cell phone. A cell phone, they know the psychology behind it. That when you've got a cell phone contract without a limit, chances are, if you do not have good discipline, you will then speak your bill to 20,000. But it doesn't always mean that a person who speaks their bill to 20,000 a month does not have discipline. Because you might find out that it is a person who is a business person who uses the cell phone, who needs to make the calls for 20,000 and is going to make 500,000 per month from spending 20,000. So they are not looking at the amount, they're looking at your behavior in relation to what your current income is. Now, and they are hoping to make money off you over a period of 20 years. Now, they need them to check thoroughly that in the 12 months, how well behaved were you towards your account. If you are not well behaved towards the 12 months account, therefore we're going to have a problem with 500,000 or 300,000 over 20 years. Now, with that, if then you are able to handle it, then they say, our interest is lesser, it is prime plus, or it can be prime, which is 7.25, as opposed to a personal loan or a credit card, which could be 20, 30% per annum. Now, the only difference here is the duration. A home loan is going to be much longer. So therefore, you yourself as a person who's about to take that home loan, you are going to go through a various levels of financial challenges, or should I say phases, which then it's either you could possibly enter a phase of lack, losing a job, a phase of financial constraints, something happened that is forcing you into a financial undesirable situation, or it is then going to improve and go further. When it improves, what happens? So it's a 20-year risk that the bank is taking with you. However, they also are aware that in that 20 years, we did an example in our previous webinars with a 1.2 million bond, that in 20 years, if you pay normal, you will pay almost double the same amount that you took for that home loan at the beginning. So you will pay another 1.1 million interest on top of 1.2 million. Now, that is what the banks are counting on. Now, if then they see that you are not good in handling, besides the NCR, they also will not take that risk, because then at some point you are not going to pay your house as well, and then they'll be forced to repossess, and that is a whole different legal process that they do not want to engage in. Also, at the same time, they know that if then we are going to make money, we need to keep this person for the full 20 years or as close as possible. Because if then what happens is, some people, the mistake they make is then they take temporary loans every month from an ATM. Almost all the banks offer you a temporary loan at an ATM. Now people take that, they pay it back. They're thinking, number one, it's not affecting their credit record. It is one of the worst things that affect your credit record, big time. Secondly, it communicates to the creditors that this person has current monthly shortfalls in their budget, or this person is afraid of credit. They just want to take it when they need it and they move on. And now to the bank that is hoping to make money over 20 years from you, when they see that, even if they see that it's a person that's afraid of credit, they're already thinking, we're not going to make our money with Yabela here, because this guy is going to pay this home loan very fast in 2 years, and therefore they will decline you. That is when they call as well, you are under indebted, because now they're hoping to make money. They are not hoping that you pay them in 1 year. They are hoping that you pay them every month, but you keep it for 20 years so that they can make their interest from you. So for the sake of time, I think I will only answer those 2 questions that had come prior to the webinar, so that we understand just the basic, who qualifies and how is it calculated, and what does the role of credit record play in this process of qualifying and purchasing a property. Thank you. Back to you, Tiamo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Glali. We actually have 6 minutes before we can adjourn today's Zoom webinar. We have a comment on our Facebook video, and the comment is coming from Precious Lucas. She says, that paragraph is so eye-opening. There's a huge market in the rental space. Wow. Okay, she was referring to that paragraph that you put in your presentation that shows who the percentages and which ones are ready to rent. All right, and then now here on Zoom, we have a question from Memieta. She's saying, I just want to clarify as to whether the interest rate is added to the repo rate. That's Memieta's question on the interest rate and the repo rate. Over to you,
Okay.
sir.
The interest rate and the repo rate work in this manner. Let me try and see if I can share the screen again so that I can explain it again. Let's see if we can go back into our slide. Okay, now I need to learn how to get out of this so that I can be able to, aha, there you have it. There. Here is a thing, Meta. The interest rate, they do not add one to the other, no. The 3.75% rather, is what the Reserve Bank is charging the banks for the money that they borrow. Okay, let me try and go it a little bit, because you remember I said it's too technical, we might not even do a webinar on it. What happens is, I did say that the banks use the money that you have deposited. Let's say now, Siamo went and deposited 1 million rand as an investment into the bank account. The bank, the lending ratio, the last time I checked it, was 1 to 8. Meaning, for that million rand that Siamo deposited into the bank can borrow from the Reserve Bank 8 times of that. Meaning that the bank can borrow 8 million on top without touching Siamo's money. They then show the Reserve Bank, we've got so much in our savings and reserves. And I'm going a lot deeper now, and pray for me because some of the information, some people really don't want it out. Now, the bank then can say, we've got 1 million in savings or in deposits from Siamo. Reserve Bank, we are coming to you, we need 8 million. They can borrow up to 8 million. for Tsiamo's 1 million. Now, when the Reserve Bank gives them the 8 million, they then say, no problem. On the 8 million that you took from us, we are charging you 3.75%. That is what now the bank says. They are charging the Reserve Bank to the bank. So the repo rate is what the Reserve Bank charges the banks. And then, because the banks cannot just decide how much they charge, they are given a base rate, which is what now we call it the prime rate, which is the 7.25. So the banks do not add the 3.75 on top of the 7.25. No, they don't add it on top. They can charge you by law 7.25, just like everywhere with medical aid. They will tell you there are medical aid rates, there are these rates. With every regulated industry, there are prescribed rates for it. So with finance, the banks are prescribed to say, you then start to look at Memita's things from 7.5%. Then you can add based on her risk or reduce based on her risk. So the banks only charges this 7.25. So in this 7.25, the repo rate that they are going to pay back to the Reserve Bank is already included in 7.25. So they don't add the two together. So now you also have an idea of how much and how sometimes the bank make their money. Which of course, it is not, some of these things are not really a secret, but they are not put out in public for people to know. And because of this guarantee, that is how then banks make money. That is how the financial industry is one of the most protected industries. There are different levels of financial service provider licenses that you can get, which YDT financial advisors possess one of them. But they go in different levels. When you go to a bank, it's a whole different financial services providers license that you go there. You need to have millions and millions, in some instances, depending on the type of bank that you want to do, you need to have hundreds of millions in reserves and in cash, because it is an industry that has to be minimized and controlled. Because imagine with you being registered as a credit provider and the Reserve Bank can give you 3.7 and you are making almost double in the base, in the recommendation alone. Now imagine then when you realize that, no man, Yabela's risk is too high, I need to charge him prime plus 3%. That already is 10.25 that you're going to charge Yabela interest rate, and then you are only going to pay 3.75. That is almost 3 times profit you are making on Yabela on the money that was not even yours in the first place, because you borrowed the money that you are giving to Yabela against the money that was deposited by Tia. You understand? And those are deeper things that of finance and banking and about money. Money, we will do financial planning in one of these webinars because it's part of our YDT group, services and strengths. Money never runs out. In a recession or anywhere, money just changes hands. Now you just therefore need to position yourself well in being the person that then is the receiving end of hands. The same here in property. If then you are focusing on a certain target market and you realize that target market, because of a specific economic thing or because of a specific phase in the country, that market is drying up, it simply means the other market is increasing. So if the buyers are becoming less, way less, and you are not, and you are a seller, then the money that the buyers were paying has moved elsewhere. It has moved to the tenants. So instead of maybe selling, maybe you should consider, let me rather than not sell, let me rent out, because now there's more tenants. So the money has moved from the buyers, has moved now to the people that are tenants. So what do? I build more rooms if I've got space in my yard to put in more properties. Of course, we can go deeper and deeper. Like I said, it will be part of the webinar where I said we would definitely do a webinar on income increasing, generating a loan using the current portfolio that you have, basically using the principle of following the money, you understand, without leaving your industry or your field, just knowing the money. I'm sure now you understand why I said interpretation of the market is the basis of all property investments at every level. Once you understand and can interpret the market, then you can be able to have the acumen to know which level to go to or which side to move towards. Thank you. Back over to you, Tiamo, because I see our time is running out. maybe we can allow just one question so that nobody feels they're totally left out.
Our time is running out. Our time is running out. However, it has been a very... All right. Okay, can anyone hear me? Can everyone
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
Or something? Yes, I was agreeing with you that our time is running out. However, we've had a very interesting and interactive session today. Our Facebook has been getting a lot of comments and a lot of views there, and we are very, very glad that we are able to reach more people through different platforms. We understand that some people are also at work, so it's not easy that everyone is able to join our Zoom meetings at this time. We had a comment from Ntabeleng on our Facebook video where she was saying that the explanation about qualifying was it for her, and she said thank you very much. And we responded to her, and we were letting her know that we were just reminding her and everyone that at YDT Group we are also able to, above pre-qualifying you, we are also able to help you rehabilitate your credit record if you need to. There's another comment there from Refente, and he's saying great information. Thank you very much. Here on Zoom, we don't have any comments. I've also checked our Instagram because remember, we are also live today on Instagram.
Yes,
we
yes.
have anything there yet. And on Twitter, remember, we are on Twitter as well. Our handle on Twitter is YDT Group Online. Remember to follow us there as well. May Mieta here on Zoom is saying, thank you so much. This is very informative. So thank you, sir. I'm going to now hand over to you, Mr. Dlali, as you wrap up today's session.
All right. I just want to explain to our Instagram viewers that sometimes, because they're not hearing the questions, and I almost forgot, or rather I forgot last time to repeat the question before I answered it. But nonetheless, every time when we are quiet, it's because we are continuing, we are live on Zoom as well. So please then understand that when you're quiet on the side, we are live on Zoom. However, from next week going forward, when a question is asked on Zoom and you have not had the opportunity to hear it, we will repeat it for you so that then when we get to answer it, you also get to understand where does the answer come from. Now, in closing today, I would like to say thank you for tuning in every week. Thank you for tuning in when you can. Thank you for going to the YouTube channel when you can. One person asked me, you are doing this for people for free and you are thanking them. There is so much information that is out there that most people do not read, nor do they take the first step to get to access it. So I'm thanking you for being wise, that you then decide to invest in your future already. This is the first step in investing in a property portfolio, because you do not start investing by putting money down. Everyone never pays money where they don't understand. There's almost no person in their right capacities. They just put money where they don't understand or anything. If they don't fully understand the concept, they've bought into a person, but they have a level of understanding. So you have done the right thing by first putting your understanding, applying your mind, investing in your understanding so that you can be able to grow further. Now, when the time comes for you to implement what you have learned from these webinars, whether live or via our YouTube channel, we encourage you, implement them. Implement using a professional. Of course, we are not representing any other professional except YDT Group. We have a one-stop property shop. We can assist you with your property needs anywhere in South Africa. Of course, even internationally, we've got countries we're already operating in as well. Virtually, that's the beauty of the current age of the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things and 4IR, Fourth Industrial Revolution. So we can be able to operate anywhere and everywhere. So therefore, when then it is time for you to do or to act upon your decision, then please feel free to use our services. We can then be able to reach out to and assist. We are assisting people as it is now across the country everywhere. Thank you very much. May you have a great weekend. Stay safe. The figures are not looking that great outside there, Please minimize your contact with other people, and please don't take COVID for granted. It is taking lives as it is, and to some of us, it has hit very close to home. So please take extra precautions to that. Thank you very much. Have a great time, and God bless.
Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.